Have you noticed how easy it is to believe in others, but so hard to believe in yourself? Since childhood, we are trained to look for approval, to follow rules we didn't choose, to adapt ourselves to fit spaces that don't really match who we are. The paradox is cruel. The more you try to be accepted, the farther you move from your own truth. And the result is living while turning off a light that was already inside you. But let me tell you something most people don't say. It's not lack of ability that holds you back. It's too much doubt. Believing in yourself has nothing to do with waiting until you feel ready or collecting praise from others. It's the opposite. It's deciding to act before you have all the answers. It's daring to be yourself even when the world says it doesn't make sense. That's the shift that turns ordinary people into those who shine. And the best part? You don't need anything extraordinary to start. You just need to stop repeating the voices that say you can't and choose to listen to your own. Because deep inside, you already know. As long as you keep hiding what is unique about you, you'll feel that empty space of not living your real life. But the moment you decide to trust your own light, everything changes. And it changes fast. The moment you shrink without noticing. Sometimes you don't even realize, but you do this. You put others first and leave yourself behind. It's that moment when you think you don't deserve space, when your opinion doesn't feel important enough. You stay quiet, step back in conversations, make yourself smaller without even noticing. Deep down, it's not lack of talent, it's just the habit of seeing yourself as less than you are. And this habit slowly becomes routine. You get used to agreeing when you wanted to disagree, to saying yes when you wanted to say no. It looks small, but it creates a reduced version of yourself. Each time you choose silence, it's like turning off a little part of your light. This adjustment to fit where you don't belong doesn't go unnoticed by your body. You feel it in your chest, in your tiredness, even in your self-esteem. The strange thing is that we almost never see it in the moment. We only notice later when we're already exhausted without energy to fight for what matters. But before reaching that point, something even deeper starts to happen when you keep hiding yourself. What happens when you dim your light? When you doubt yourself too much, you're not just being humble or careful. The effect is harder. You start accepting less than you deserve. You say yes to situations that drain you, to relationships that make you smaller, to opportunities that slip away. At first, it looks like a detail. But with time, it becomes a cycle that steals your energy and makes everything heavier. This weight shows up in simple things. You don't sign up for a course because you think you can't handle it. You avoid speaking in a meeting because you're afraid of sounding silly. You refuse a new job opportunity because you doubt your own value. Each choice based on self-doubt adds up, until one day you look back and see how many doors you didn't even try to open. The problem isn't just losing opportunities, it's starting to believe there were never doors for you in the first place. And when that happens, it feels like life is passing while you sit in the stands, only watching the game of your own story. But there is a way out of this role of spectator, and it all begins the moment you decide to listen to a different voice inside you. The importance of listening to your own voice. When you pause and really listen to yourself, you realize believing in yourself doesn't mean having all the answers. It simply means not repeating on autopilot those voices that say you can't, that you're not enough. How many times have you noticed you were living more through fears inherited from others than through your own choices? That's the turning point. Deciding to give more space to what comes from inside. At first, listening to your own voice feels hard because it's covered by noise, criticism, comparison, pressure. But the more you practice, the clearer it becomes. A simple way to start is to save a few minutes each day just to write down what you think and feel. No filter, no fear of being wrong. When you put it on paper, you begin to see the difference between what is truly yours and what was planted by other people. And as that voice grows stronger, something powerful happens. You gain courage to take a stand, even if you still feel afraid. It's not about being perfect or confident all the time, but about learning to choose which voice will guide your decisions. And it's exactly in this process that small actions start to appear, actions that, little by little, change the way you see yourself completely. Small actions that make a difference. Confidence doesn't appear like lightning out of nowhere. It's built through small actions you repeat until they become part of who you are. Every time you speak, even while afraid, you are training your mind to trust yourself more. Every time you decide, even with doubt, you prove that you can move forward without having all the guarantees. And every attempt, even without certainty, is already a victory against paralysis. These actions may look small, but they create a powerful effect. You can start by replying to a message you would normally avoid, sharing a short opinion in a meeting, or even scheduling coffee with someone you admire, even if you don't know exactly what to say. These subtle moves send your brain the message: I can take a risk and still be safe. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. The point is that every step taken with fear slowly makes that fear lighter. You realize you didn't need to wait for courage to act, because courage is born in the act itself. And as you grow stronger with these small gestures, it becomes clearer that you don't need anyone's approval to move forward. You don't need permission. Have you noticed how often you wait for some kind of green light to start something you could have already begun? It's as if you're waiting for someone to say, "Go, now you can." But the truth is, that permission never comes, and it doesn't have to. Your value doesn't depend on anyone's validation. The light inside you is already there, even when you try to hide it. When you understand this, life shifts perspective. You don't need someone else to recognize your effort before taking the next step. It might be at work, in a personal choice, or even a simple change in your routine. It's not about ignoring advice, but about not letting the lack of applause freeze your movement. If you feel it's your path, that's already enough to begin. And little by little, you notice that the need for approval was always more in your mind than in reality. The world is not as focused on controlling your choices as you think. And when that truth sinks in, you free yourself to create your own measure of value without comparisons to anyone else. Which leads us to something deeper: the weight of comparison. When you measure yourself by someone else's life, the scale never feels fair. There will always be someone who achieved faster, who has something you don't have yet, who seems to live effortlessly. And in this invisible game, you always end up putting yourself behind, as if you're late in your own life. This constant comparison steals the energy you could be using to grow at your own pace. The problem is that this habit not only drains you, it also distorts the way you see your own victories. A step forward that should be celebrated turns into frustration because you place it next to someone else's journey. And the more you stay stuck in this comparison, the harder it is to see how far you've already come. It's like running while staring at the track next to you, forgetting that your own race has a different time and a different path. The real turning point comes when you begin to ask yourself, what makes sense for me, no matter what others are doing? This simple question has the power to bring the focus back inside. And when you choose to walk at this rhythm, you gain the chance to be true to yourself in a deeper way without needing to fit into a script that was never written by your own hands. Choosing to be true to yourself. Being true to yourself doesn't mean proving anything to the world. It simply means living in a way that makes sense to you without following a path created by other people's expectations. When you choose to really listen to yourself, you understand there is no obligation to fit into every role others try to impose. Life feels lighter when you decide to walk guided by what resonates inside of you. This change doesn't happen all at once. It begins with small choices, saying no when everything in you asks for a boundary, starting a project because it really excites you, or even keeping silence when outside pressure demands an answer. These small gestures added together build a more authentic life. And in that space, confidence grows because you realize you don't need masks to be accepted. And when authenticity becomes the priority, something special happens. Comparison loses strength, the need for approval fades, and space opens to cultivate what makes you unique. At this point, you're no longer living a story written by others, but finally holding the pen of your own narrative. And this is where everything we've explored so far begins to gain new meaning. Now that you've walked this path with me, the question is simple. How long will you keep hiding what is already yours? Knowledge means nothing if it never becomes action. What can you do today, yes, today, to honor your own voice? It can be a small step, but it has to be real. Because in the end, believing in yourself is not theory, it's daily practice. So I challenge you. Will you keep living on autopilot, waiting for permission that will never come? Or will you decide to take control of your own story? Remember, every time you choose yourself, life makes space. And if you truly want to see change, it begins with the decision to stop making yourself smaller. The world already has enough copies. What it needs is your authenticity. And before you go, let me ask for one thing. If this content resonated with you, if it touched something inside, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. This way, you keep learning, keep growing, and above all, keep remembering that your light never depended on anyone's approval. After all, believing in yourself is the first step to changing everything.